So this is Christmas, and what have you done? Another year over, a new one just begun. And so this is Christmas, I hope you have fun. The near and the dear ones, the old and the young.
A very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one without any fear.
So this is Christmas, for weak and for strong, for rich and for poor ones. The world is so wrong. And so this is Christmas, for black and for white, for yellow and red ones. Let's stop all the fight.
A very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one without any fear.
So this is Christmas. What have you done? Another year over, a new one just begun. And so this is Christmas, I hope you have fun. The near and the dear ones, the old and the young.
A very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one without any fear.
War is over if you want it. War is over now.
Where do you think Jesus was born? What do you think Mary was wearing when Jesus was born? What kind of clothes was she wearing?
A scarf. He was on the hay with a table. She was wearing like a peach dress.
What do you think the wise men's names were?
The turkeys. I don't know. Goliath,
Who else?
David,
Okay, who else?
God,
Where do you think Bethlehem is?
and Dragonland.
Do you think it's down the street or do you think it's far away?
I don't know who she is.
Do you think it's close or far away?
Close.
I think the angels sing.
Jingle bells. There's no angel right here. Why did the chick cross the road?
Why?
To get to Chick-fil-A.
What's red, black, and white?
I don't know what.
A sunbird penguin.
Christmas.
Christmas who?
Christmas. Why do we get presents? Because Christmas is special.
My dad had a Bell and Howell 8mm movie camera when I was a kid, and one Christmas, my mom filmed Santa coming into our house through the front door. We didn't have a chimney. And Santa came in and pulled out the toys from his red bag and laid them out real nice on our couch. My favorite toy that year was a Huckleberry Hound. We watched the movie sometime after that, and I noticed two things about Santa. He looked a little bit like my dad. And second thing, I think he must have been going through some financial struggle because his Santa suit was really unraveling, had holes in it and tears, and his beard was really scraggly. Well, I soon figured out that that was not Santa, but Dad was helping Santa out that night. So my mom and Dad told me. Well, our understanding of Santa has evolved over the years. From St. Nicholas that you see here from the 3rd century. He was the Bishop of Myra, and he would give presents and things to people, and especially children who were poor. And then there was Santa Claus, who rode a white horse and landed on rooftops. And then we went to England and we got Father Christmas around 1879. In this picture, Father Christmas is looking for peace on earth and goodwill toward men. But his lantern reveals the words, and maybe you can see them there, war, failures, commercial depression, and distress. Great Britain was at war at that time with Afghanistan. Well, we went from Father Christmas to Santa Claus image created by Thomas Nast. He was the political cartoonist for Harper's Bazaar. And he created this image of Santa Claus in 1863. And he's also the guy who gave us the elephant for the Republicans and the donkey for the Democrats. And then the most loved, I think, image of Santa Claus that we have is the one from Coca-Cola advertisements. It was created, this image of Santa, in 1931 by an artist by the name of Haddon Sundblom. So the Santa that we all know and love, that big jolly man in a red suit and a white beard, did not always look like that. We've all evolved, and so did Santa evolve. Well, today, Santa has taken an interesting turn. Maybe you've seen the Target ad for this Christmas. It's a very, very different Santa. Does the world need a hot Santa? Well, maybe so, because we've got one. Well, just as our view of Santa has evolved, so has our view of Jesus. In all likelihood, if you close your eyes and imagine the baby Jesus, you will probably come up with an image of a white baby with blonde hair and blue eyes. Here's a picture of the baby Jesus that we had in our house growing up. And you'll see he's a white Jesus with blonde hair and blue eyes. But if you look at nativity sets today, as you see in this one, at least some nativities have Jesus and Joseph and Mary with dark hair. But you'll see here, and the statement on that picture, baby Jesus is going to have some wicked abs by the end of the season. Well, the blonde baby Jesus that I grew up with himself grew up in our image to be this adult Jesus. This picture of Jesus was created by an artist named Warner Salmon in 1940. This image of Jesus was found in churches and seminaries and maybe even some hospitals and nursing homes and most American homes in the 50s, 60s, and even into the 70s. Over 500 million copies of this picture have been sold. This picture was so everywhere that people actually thought this is what Jesus looked like, as if Jesus sat down and posed for the artist. This portrait of Jesus kind of in people's minds became the literal face of Jesus. But is it really? Well, not at all. After one of her lectures, a student approached Dr. Christina Cleveland. She's a PhD, a social psychologist, and a theologian, and asked if Black people were uncomfortable with the fact that Jesus is white. Here was Dr. Cleveland's answer. Jesus is not white. The Jesus of history likely looked more like me, a Black woman, than you, a white woman. Well, Dr. Cleveland is exactly right. Scholars and archaeologists today agree that Jesus was most likely a brown-skinned and brown-eyed man, more akin to a Middle Eastern Jewish man or an Arab man. One commentator said that if Jesus was taking a flight today, he might be profiled for additional security screening by the TSA. You know, it really does make sense, doesn't it? How could a Middle Eastern couple, Joseph and Mary, give birth to a baby who would be white? As David Hayward shows us in this cartoon. Well, Jesus was born in the Middle East. He was not born in the United States. He was not born in Europe. But here you see images of what so much of Western world thinks and that Jesus looks like. The myth of a white Jesus has deep roots in Christian history. As early as the Middle Ages, and especially during the Renaissance period, Western artists depicted Jesus as a white man, often with blue eyes and blondish hair. And some people still believe that image is the right one. Who can forget about 10 years ago, Megyn Kelly on a news program said this, "Kids, Santa is white. And by the way, Jesus is too. It's a historical fact. It's verifiable," she said. Yes, many people, like her, insist on seeing Jesus as white. Tall, broad-shouldered, blue-eyed, God's tight end. A perfect example. Well, you may be asking, Philip, what's the big deal? Does it really matter? Well, I think it does. That's why I'm talking about it. Because not only is white Jesus inaccurate historically, seeing Jesus as white can inhibit our ability to honor the Christ, the divine, within people who might not be white. Some kids were asked the question, what color is God? 9-year-old Brittany said, well, I think God is light blue and white because he watches us from the clouds. Hunter, who's age 7, said, God is a rainbow color because he loves all people. And take a look at this passage from the last book in the Christian scripture, Revelation, chapter 4 and verse 3, describing the throne of God, and around that throne is a rainbow. You got to love that. Well, 10-year-old Jane, in answer to the question, said, I think God is all colors because all the people of the world are different colors. And then Carter, age 11, says, I don't think God is any certain race or color. I think God has a little bit of every color in him because he loves us all the same. It's interesting to me that every culture makes Jesus look like them. There's African Jesus, there's Asian Jesus, even touchdown Jesus. Why? I think it has something to do with the incarnation. You know, that's what Christmas is all about. The different portrayals of Jesus that you see on this image help us to get our hearts and our heads around the theological truth that God knows us, understands us, identifies with us, became us, became all of us. In the 60s, there was a period of time that was popular for folk music. And one group that did a lot of folk songs was called Up With People. And they sang a song that asked the question, what color is God's skin? I want to close with those lyrics. Good night, I said to my little son, so tired out when the day was done. Then he said as I tucked him in, tell me, Daddy, what color is God's skin? What color is God's skin? I said it's black, brown, it's yellow, it is red, and it is white. Everyone's the same in the good Lord's sight. He looked at me with his shining eyes. I knew I could tell no lies. When he said, Daddy, why do the different races fight? if everyone's the same in the good Lord's sight? Son, that's a part of our suffering past, but the whole human family is learning at last that the thing we missed on the road we trod is to walk as the daughters and the sons of God. Well, that was an optimistic song. I'm not sure how well we've learned from our past. Well, just as our images of Santa and Jesus have evolved over the time, the true spirit of Christmas, that incarnation, invites us to see the divine, to see the Christ in every face, recognizing the Christ in me acknowledges the Christ in you and everybody. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas this season.